Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Guillaume from Linke, and today I'm with Vincent Du from SAP Cybersecurity Center of Excellence.
Hello.
And Peter Wimley, SAP Solution Manager for Data Custodian. So we will give 2 more. Yes, and we will give 2 minutes more for letting time to people to join in. So hold on a second, we will come back. So let's start. So hello everyone, good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to our new webinar, How to Ensure Cybersecurity and Ease System Administration. So my name is David Guillaume. I'm Linke Business Development Manager for France and Benelux, and today I'm with Vincent Du from SAP Cybersecurity Center of Excellence, and Peter Wimley, SAP Solution Manager for Data Custodian. And today we're going to talk about cyber security. But before that, allow me to introduce you shortly Linke. At Linke, we have been helping customers migrate and operate their SAP landscape on AWS for more than 10 years now. And we know that together with the flexibility and cost model of the cloud, security is the top priority and concern of customers when addressing the management of their SAP landscape in the cloud. In our continuous effort to provide the best available solution to our customer, we have partnered with SAP on specific products such as SAP Data Custodian Key Management Services and SAP Solution Manager Focusrun. 2 solutions from SAP that we will cover in today's webinar. Additionally, we will review the value that the Linke automation platform delivers to customers running their SAP landscape on AWS by providing visibility on helping enforce security and compliance using DevSecOps tools and methodologies. Now, I hand over to Vincent from SAP, who will guide you through the SAP offerings.
Thank you, David. So, you know the current context, we can see an exponential raises of the number of cyber attacks, especially with the COVID situation. The situation is getting more and more critical. We still have in a lot of cases involvement for insiders. And our customer audience, so CISOs, CEOs, even CFOs, wanted to be able to ensure the continuity of the business processes and so to enable more remote working. But at the same time, they need to enhance the security processes to be sure to protect the company assets. So the challenges are multiple. We will have, for sure, specific aspects related to identity and access management, how to manage authentication, how to manage the user lifecycle management, how to protect the data flow between the remote laptop and desktop and the application server in the cloud. All of these topics are very important, and we propose at SAP a lot of solutions to secure this specific aspect. So I will ask you if you want to have a dedicated session to address the identity and access management topic, to request this in the question in the BrightTalk user interface, and we will plan a dedicated session to address all the specific topics. Today, we will go in detail on very important aspects, not related to identity and access management, but more related to the protection of the data by itself and the detection of the threat on your application layer. So today, we will see how you can ensure and guarantee the sovereignty over your data in the hyperscaler cloud, for example, AWS, and we will see how you can also ease the administration in general of your SAP system, but also and specifically how you can ease the compliance of your security configuration aspect with a dedicated SAP solution, SAP Focusrun, and also ease the application and the response plan with Linke software. So, first of all, let's talk about data sovereignty and how you can implement processes to govern the encryption key management with Data Custodian Key Management Service. Peter, you can introduce your topic.
Thank you, Vincent. So let's talk about key management. The first question I want to pose is, why do organizations need an independent key management service? And really, there's multiple reasons why organizations today, and especially those moving to the cloud, need an independent key management service. First of all, is to protect their data, most obviously in the public cloud, and to encrypt that data. Secondly, it's to prevent unauthorized third-party disclosure of information, for example, by states and state actors. And I know a lot of European customers have concerns about, for example, the US Cloud Act. Thirdly, an independent key management service provides security against data breaches by both insiders within the organization and external entities. An independent key management system also provides control over who has access to the encryption keys. The organization themselves has full control over their encryption keys and can associate or allocate permissions within the organization to those keys. And finally, an independent key management service gives organizations what is called segregation of duties. Their encryption keys are stored and managed completely separately and on a completely independent cloud network from where their data is stored. And that is really conforming to best practice when it comes to encryption. So those are the reasons why an organization may need an independent key management service. So let's take a little look into the new SAP Data Custodian Key Management Service itself. So the SAP Key Management Service is a multi-cloud hardware services module, or HSM as a service, and it delivers the following services. It delivers an independent, secure key management and cryptography service. It helps users protect their data in public, private, hybrid, or multi-cloud environments. And it gives our users simplified provisioning, lifecycle management, and control of their encryption keys. And it is fully independent from, for example, the hyperscalers and from the other cloud networks where you're storing your data. And just going into a little bit more detail, today, if we look in the left and middle boxes, today there are broadly two main deployment options for key management service. On the left-hand side, we've got our legacy HSM. They're very secure, but they're difficult and awkward to provision and take time, and they're complex. Then we have emerging the cloud key management services that you can, for example, obtain from Azure or AWS. These are software-based key management services, but they don't have the security level that comes with the legacy HSM approach. Data Custodian, however, takes a best of both approach, giving organizations the security of a legacy HSM, yet providing a fully cloud-enabled, cloud-native SaaS key management service. So giving organizations the security that comes with HSM, but the flexibility and fast deployment and simple purchase approach of the cloud key management services. And looking a little bit more detail into the SAP Data Custodian Key Management Service. And on screen, you'll see a conceptual, overview. Not really an architecture diagram, but more a conceptual overview of the Data Custodian Key Management Service and some of the features and components of that service. First of all, as I discussed, it's a multi-cloud application providing encryption services for users of not only the hyperscalers, but SAP Managed Cloud and SAP applications. Keys can be stored, and customer keys can be stored on one of 3 global locations that can be selected by our customers. Multiple cryptographic types exist and are supported, for example, RSA, AES, and elliptic curve. Data Custodian today supports encryption of the SAP HANA databases, and we're working on supporting and delivering this year encryption services and key management services for a wide variety of non-SAP database types. I'm just drilling into some of the, high-level features of the Data Custodian Key Management Service. As I said, it's a multi-cloud, customer and controlled encryption key service. It is a SaaS service and subscription options that are available. We provide users with automatic geographic key replication in one of 3 global regions. Users get full transparency and access over their encryption keys. And unlike the software key management services that are available today, it is HSM backed and delivers FIPS Level 3 security. And on screen, you'll see some more of the Data Custodian Key Management Service features that are available today. On the left-hand side, you'll see services and features that are available on the Key Management Service today. And on the right-hand side, you'll see some new features that are currently under development. On the left-hand side, I've touched on the fact that multiple cryptographic types are available. But I want to just really reinforce the point of segregation of duties and the fact that the keys are managed and owned by the end customer and are managed separately and stored separately from where their data is stored in the cloud. And organizations have the ability to manage the full life cycle of their keys completely independently of where their data is configured and stored. And all key lifecycle operations are supported, from generation, encryption, decryption, and the destruction of keys. And I'll show that some of this on the short demo that I'm going to show in a few minutes. I'm coming to the end of my presentation point. Just want to touch on some of the customer benefits of the Data Custodian Independent Key Management Service. It allows our customers to protect their data in public, hybrid, and multi-cloud environments. Users get segregation of duties, storing their data separately from encryption keys. They can import and store multiple cipher objects in their cloud or in their storage vaults. Not only keys, but they can also store certificates and secrets as well. Customers, and a key point is that the customer owns their own keys. SAP doesn't own your keys. SAP does not have access to your keys. It is only owned by the end customer. And they know at any time, at any point in time, where their keys reside through audit logging and transparency. Users can build their own key access policies as to who can access their keys and how long the keys should remain in service. They can configure role-based permissions for managing their keys, and they can define lifecycle policies or key lifecycle management policies and authenticated approval policies for their keys. So just to conclude this section before I move on to my short demo on Data Custodian Key Management Service. Data Custodian KMS is an independent key management service that has just been launched by SAP. We integrate into SAP HANA databases today and are working with integration to other database types, and these will be rolled out this year as well. And ultimately, the key point here is that customers have full control and transparency over their keys. Their keys are managed and owned by the end customers so that they can address the concerns about third-party ownership of keys and third-party access to keys. So with that, I would like to move on to a short demo on the Data Custodian Key Management Service. And I'm just going to toggle my screen over to my demo system. And hopefully everyone can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen, Peter.
Thank you very much. Okay, so this is SAP Data Custodian Key Management Service tenant. It is a tenant deployed on AWS. The key management system is a cloud-native application. It's a SaaS application. We can rapidly spin up a tenant for any customer rapidly. Subscription-based pricing exists for new customers and for all customers. It's a fully SaaS application. Key, as you can see here, we have a single group or key group that has been provisioned on the system. And I will, as part of the demo, I'll show you how the users can be guided through the creation of a group. But ultimately, groups are used to manage the encryption keys on Data Custodian KMS. These key groups, for example, could be specific to a business application that you're using or specific to a database. They could be specific set of keys required or specific to a particular department within the organization. But the key groups are used to isolate keys and for the governance of keys. For example, a key group could be used to determine who or what service can access or modify keys. So for example, members or users of a different group would not have, or you could prevent them from having access to keys that are used by another group. So before we create any encryption keys, first of all, I'm going to create a new group. And the system guides you through, and basically there's a wizard that guides users through the creation of the group. 3 different group types are available, as you can see. There's a general, SaaS, and infrastructure as a service group types. The general group type gives the user full control over group configuration, whereas SaaS and infrastructure as a service groups uses pre-configured options to speed up creation. The SaaS groups are for keys that are specific to SAP applications, and the infrastructure as a service group is specific for SAP HANA systems or customer managed SAP HANA systems. So today I'm going to create an infrastructure as a service group. Now there are some optional items the users can add in here to provide more details on their group. But ultimately, what I'm going to do is create a link, a group called link here on the system. Okay, so my group has been successfully created. So the next step is to create some keys for the group. As you can see, the application guides us through the next step. So we're going to create some keys. So again, I'm going to create a key. I'll call it again link, and begin creating some keys. When we go to create some keys, we have two options here. We have the option to create a master key or not a master key. So a master key is a key that is used in the system to actually encrypt and decrypt keys themselves, whereas general keys, more general keys, are for just general usage. But in this case, I'll just create a master key because it's a little bit quicker. Because the HANA key, there are specific properties and key properties that are specific to HANA, RSA, encrypted or cryptographic types. And as you can see here, the HANA RSA properties are already pre-populated with respect to key size, the key exponent, padding policy, etc. And these are all specific in the requirements of the HANA database system. But if I had chosen the general key option, customers then could have gone into, or users could go in to create their own specific keys. And this is what they will use then for creating keys for other non-HANA type databases as well. Then we go to, once we accept the key type or the key format, then the key operations. And again, users can select from a number of options that are pre-populated in this instance, whether they want the key to be used for encryption, decryption, signing, verification, and they can use it to wrap or unwrap keys. But again, these are pre-populated in the listed space. So at this stage, we've come to the end of the key creation process. You get a summary, and then you go ahead and create the key. Okay, so the encryption key has been successfully created. Okay, so if I go back to the groups now, you can see we have created a group with a single user and a single encryption key. I guess one of the other key aspects of keys and key management is who has access to the keys. And the user management feature on the group allows users to add users, technical users. As you can see here, I've created a key administrator. So users can create a key administrator, as a key administrator like myself has the ability to create and delete keys within the system. Or the user or the administrator can also create what is called a technical user. And these technical users are systems and applications that will actually go about actually using and creating, these technical users will be the actual systems that will actually use the keys themselves. So I just wanted to create another user for my group. And so if I go to users, I'm going to, in this stage, I'm going to create another key administrator. There's an example key administrator here. And the user has been added to another key administrator has been added to the group. So if we go back to the groups, you can now see we have configured 2 users and a single encryption key for this group. So just before I finish, I just wanted to touch on one other thing, and that is the key audit service. And basically all the activities, as you can see here, all of my activities on screen have been generating logs. And the key audit, the application maintains an audit of all key-related events and activities. On screen, you can see some of the recent activities carried out by me during the demo. And this audit information, for example, could be used by a customer for root cause analysis and analysis of unusual key-related activities. Users can select the specific event and then drill down to obtain more information on the activity. So this allows the users, for example, to understand if some unusual key usage activity or key creation or deletion activity took place. So at that point, I've come to the end of today's demo, and I want to hand back to guys.
To me. Thank you, Peter. So
thank you.
You could see, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, thank you, Peter, for this presentation of Data Custodian Key Management Service and this demo. So we saw how you can configure a full governance process to govern the way you will update the encryption keys and provide dedicated access to this to prevent any intrusion or hijacking of the encryption keys in your SAP system. So now let's see other aspects for cybersecurity and specifically how you configure your SAP systems, how you can manage the monitoring and the administration of your configuration on the SAP application. SAP Focusrun has been developed by SAP because now SAP is a cloud leading company. And so we have to manage our own data center. And we couldn't find on the market any solution that was compliant with our requirements regarding either administration, monitoring of compliance security parameters, and we will see later in the webinar, detection of intrusion. So we develop our own new solution. SAP Focusrun is the solution used by SAP to administrate and monitor the full configuration of all the SAP applications deployed in the SAP data center. And now we propose this solution to our customer to be able also to ease the administration of the SAP system. It will allow them to automatically, from a central point, monitor all the configuration of the SAP backends, monitor also the user-related parameter configuration, the consumption of the user interface, to monitor all the interfaces, so call and message flows over hundreds of systems. And for security reasons, it will also allow you to define your own security policies based on standard content provided by SAP, which are the best practices on the market. Define your policy and then screen all the SAP system to verify if the security parameters have been configured according to your security policy. If Focusrun identify a gap, we will for sure notice this gap, trigger some notification, and you can configure the way you want to manage these workflows and calculate a risk impact regarding the criticity of the gap we identify and especially which security parameter is not configured according to your own security policy. This solution can be deployed quickly. We provide lots of SAP standard content regarding, for example, all the security parameters for the SAP different type of backend. And I will now let my colleague David from Linke IT to explain how you can have an additional value with the Linke automation platform combined with Focusrun. David?
Yes, many thanks, Vincent. And of course, with addition of Focusrun, Linke automation platform allows customers to manage their SAP infrastructure on AWS by applying DevSecOps tools and methodologies. This allows customers to automate their deployment and operations on SAP infrastructure on AWS and enforce security and compliance of their environment. Getting into details about security and compliance enforcement, Linke Automation Platform includes all security check and remediation based on SAP and AWS best practices, allowing customers to rapidly implement DevSecOps process by adding control and applying remediation on security aspects. Linke Automation Platform and SAP Solution Manager Focusrun complement each other, bringing visibility and control over the security of your SAP infrastructure on your SAP data. So at the end, we can say that SAP Focusrun addresses the compliance at the application layer, and Linke Automation Platform focusing on the application, on the infrastructure layer. So now I will give the end to Vincent for the last part.
So thank you, David. So we saw how with Focusrun and the Linke Automation Platform, you can monitor the security, for example, the security parameters at both infrastructure and application layers. We saw that with Data Custodian Key Management Service, you can implement a full process to govern the access and the management of the encryption keys in the hyperscaler cloud for SAP solution. So, in fact, with all these aspects, we have a very good preventive policy to ensure that the security of your application and infrastructure layers are properly done. So you build a big wall to protect your asset, to protect your information system. But the history showed us that no wall can be climbed. Even the Great Wall of China has been couldn't block the invasion. So intrusion can still happen. And it's not an SAP study, but we reuse some elements from the market. The analysis shows that when you have an intrusion on your information system, there will be more than 270 days before you are able to identify the intrusion and to start a remediation plan to be able to block this intrusion. During this time, a lot of harm can be done. For sure, data can be stolen, security breach can happen, processes can be put in danger, business transaction can be hijacked, and payments too. So the more time you will spend on identifying the threat and the later you will put a remediation plan to block this attack, the bigger will be the impact on your company. The question is, when are you able to identify and stop a security breach when it's already in your information system? How can you identify the threat the sooner to be able to avoid critical impact on your business asset? The solution exists. This solution is enterprise threat detection. Again, because SAP is now a major cloud player, we had to internally secure our data center. And we couldn't find any solution on the market that could comply with our security requirements. So we developed the solution by ourselves. SAP Enterprise Threat Detection will allow you to complete your preventive measures with strong detective capacities. The point of enterprise threat detection is to be able to identify the threat on your application layer very early. You will have three major outcomes with ETD. First, and it's direct value. There is not a lot of projects. You connect ETD to your SAP landscape, and directly you will have a full system transparency with respect to security. In fact, you will be able to understand what happened in your SAP application layer because SAP provides a full correlation and semantic layer to interpret in a human language all the logs and all the events that happen at the SAP application layer. Second very important value and direct value, the moment you connect the ETD system to your SAP application layer, you will be able to secure the SAP log from any manipulation because we will be able to replicate all the logs in real time and secure them in another database to prevent any harmful manipulation of the technical trace. And finally, it's the most important aspect, SAP provide also pre-configured threat detection pattern. What is it? It's the capacity to screen in real time all the logs and events based on this pattern to detect very early any intrusion on your application layer to alert you before the harm is done. So we will analyze everything that happened on your application layer, and if we identify, for example, unusual user behavior, we will be able to alert you very quickly. So it's just the three main values, but ETD comes with a lot of different functionality. The capacity to translate all the technical events into a human language, the capacity to identify threat pattern on your application layer, the capacity to, in the standard, pseudonymize the user ID to be compliant with specific data privacy regulation, even in your cybersecurity processes, the capacity to perform forensic analysis without the need to be a SAP technical expert. In the standard, as I explained, we covered already all the log type in the SAP world. So in the standard semantic layer we provide, we cover 100% of all the SAP logs and events. You have also the capacity to connect ETD to other non-SAP modules or elements of your information system, for example, an Active Directory, for example, a firewall, to be able also to collect this non-SAP log. We have in the standard machine learning algorithm that will help you to automatically correlate this log to the SAP logs to be able to have a proper semantic layer and understand the event combined between SAP application and non-SAP application on your landscape. This is some example of the threat detection pattern we delivered in standard. We have today more than 300 pre-configured threat detection pattern available, and we delivered on a monthly basis new patterns. These elements, this content is directly coming from the SAP data center because it's our internal cybersecurity team who work on the security of the SAP data center that provide this specific content now to all the customers who are using ETD. It's not only external hacker detection pattern, it's also patterns to detect unusual behavior all of your standard SAP user, both dialogue user, but also all the different kind of technical user type in the SAP world. So the benefit of SAP ETD, as I explained, direct value, you have the capacity to understand everything that happened on the SAP application layer because we give you the translation of 100% of the SAP logs and events, and you have multiple reports to dig into this information using a human language. We have real-time visibility of everything that happened in the system. You can audit everything, so we have an audit trail for everything that happened in the application layer, and we can identify intrusion, unusual behavior, for example, capacities of a user to jump from a non-productive system to a productive system. We can identify this very early and stop them before any harm is done. Last point on SAP Enterprise Threat Detection. So in the slide, and we will provide you the content, you will have an access to a demo video to understand more how ETD is working and what kind of threat pattern we can address. We have also a program to give you a one-day free experience on ETD, connecting you with SAP ETD experts to see in your specific context how ETD can be deployed and what can be the direct value of the solution for your specific business context. So with all the solution we present you today, you are able to create very powerful preventive measures to verify that your SAP security parameters are following the good practices, both at the application layer and also at the infrastructure layer. We provide you solution to secure the data that are stocked in the hyperscaler cloud by giving you the way to create your own process for encryption key management. And we provide you also very powerful measures for detection, so to be able to detect once the threat happens on your application layer, and so to trigger the correct response and remediation plan to prevent any harm. I will close the presentation now and will open the Q&A session. So feel free to ask your question in the BrightTalk user interface. You can type your question and we will answer in live. So let's see if we have any question coming from the audience. I can see a first question. What is the difference between Focusrun and Enterprise Threat Detection? So Focusrun is a preventive security measure solution. It will help you to verify that the security parameters for your application are configured in a proper way. Enterprise Threat Detection is a dynamic threat detection solution. it will not check if the configuration is good or not. It will analyze in real time what happened in your SAP system and inform you if an intrusion happened or if some users are starting to do strange things that could be dangerous, that could make us think that an attack is on his way. And so with Focusrun, you can verify that you are compliant regarding the configuration of your SAP system. With ETD, you have a powerful solution to detect in real time, dynamically, if someone is already inside your system and if an attack is on its way. And you have the capacity to stop this attack very early. I have another question on ETD, then I will let the talk to Peter for the question on data custodian. The question on ETD is, you said SAP ETD will block attack. It's not clear to me. Is it going to block or to alert? First, ETD will detect the attack and trigger you an alert. Then you can deploy your remediation plan, your response plan. We have today some automated response available, but it's today still limited. We can block a user session, for example. In the ETD roadmap, on short term, we will enhance the response capacity of ETD to be able to have more automated response plan that can be triggered. As I explained already, the capacity to block a user session, and in the roadmap, for example, the capacity to remodify on the fly some security parameters that have been modified by a user, or even the capacity to lock down a full system. So we are working on the roadmap of ETD to provide more automated response capacity. Today, it's you have an alert and we can connect ETD to other systems for IT ticketing, for example, but ETD will not manage the response. You have to configure your own response plan. Peter, there is a question on data custodian.
Yeah, I see there's two questions here. First of all, can we bring our own encryption key in Data Custodian Key Management Service? The answer is yes, it's on our roadmap to be delivered this year is import and management of third-party encryption keys. So yeah, if you've got a use case, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to discuss that. Second question is, what is the difference between SAP Data Custodian and SAP Enterprise Threat Detection? Well, I guess there are two data custodian products on the market today. There's SAP Data Custodian and SAP Data Custodian Key Management Service. So the key management service, as I've been discussing on the session, is an independent key management service, which is quite a bit different from enterprise threat detection. But the data custodian product itself provides cloud transparency and control services for data protection. So the way when we are asked this question about enterprise threat detection, I answer it is in the difference between data protection and data security. I view both products are complementary to one another. Enterprise threat detection I would view as a data security type tool, whereas data custodian is focused on data protection and focused on who can access your data in the cloud, where your data is being moved, etc., and as well as that with KMS on the encryption of your data as well. So we're very much on the data custodian side, focused on data protection, on data access, data movement, and data encryption. So hopefully that answers those questions.
Thank you, Peter. Maybe I will provide an additional information for SAP ETD. So currently, SAP ETD covers you had a slide in the presentation, mainly all the SAP logs types and log categories. It's included in the standard semantic layer we provide with the solution. Another very important point regarding ETD is that we are not competing with the other CM solution on the market, like QRadar or Splunk. Indeed, we have partnership with the solution editor, so IBM, HP, Splunk. We had partnership with this company, and we provide standard connector between ETD and their CM to be able to automatically, for example, transfer an alert that has been identified by ETD in the CM, in Splunk or in QRadar. Why we have this partnership? Because these non-SAP companies that provide the CM knows that they will never be able to provide the semantic and correlation layer for all the SAP log and event. They tried for many years, but the complexity of the SAP application, because we have so much different business processes managed with SAP, so the log type and events are a lot. So they decided to stop investment and work with SAP. We provide by default the full semantic and correlation layer for all the SAP technical events. And so now we have standard connector to integrate ETD with non-SAP CM to provide a 100% monitoring capacity on the full information system with network, infrastructure, and application layers. David, there is a question for automation platform.
Yeah, so Linke automation platform manage infrastructure on supplier rather than AWS. Okay, what I'd like to say is that with Linke automation platform, we will use AWS services in order to manage SAP system on multiple infrastructure. So we use this AWS services on AWS or cloud provider, but also for SAP on-premise.
Thank you, David.
So, okay, we will give 2 minutes more for new questions. I think if we have no more question, we can close this webinar. So many thanks for joining, and thank you for your attention. Thank you, Vincent and Peter, for your presentation, and we hope to see you soon in the next webinar. So bye bye, and have a good day, everybody.
Have a very good day. Thank you.